Say something real.
Good morning. Good morning. What's happening, family? Welcome to the show this morning. It is Michelle Bryant here at WNOV, 8:60 a.m. What? Oh, I'm doing that. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm still wiping. 8:60 a.m. 106.5 FM. Want to welcome you to the show this morning. I just had a minor ink pen explosion, and WNOV about to be paying for me a computer. That's all. Management. Where's management? With y'all janky ink pens. Where is management?
We're gonna be removing those effective immediately.
Where is management?
Yeah, those are coming out.
Y'all ink pens. It's going. I catch it.
You know what?
But
You're not
it's
the
one of
only
these
individual that
times
has
it's gonna
complained
get on
about
one of
these
my
pens.
Nike fits.
So effective immediately. See how quickly that got resolved? They're gone.
Can you give me a good one? Because I still need
Sure.
a pen.
I'll get you a
Oh, wait. I
no,
have
that's
one.
another
I have
one of them janky ones. It's still janky.
But it's not messed up. So I'm okay.
Not yet. So we're taking no chances here.
He's so silly. He's so silly.
We have resolved that.
I'm telling you, one of these times this pen gonna explode on one of my fits, and I'm gonna be like, no, sir.
You have hand sanitizer to try to get the little ink off your hands. You good?
I said, yeah. Whatever.
Just want to make certain. You know.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Debo, how you doing this morning, bro?
Tired.
Man, me too. Why you tired? What you do?
Chicago yesterday. Went over and saw your boy. Hung out with him yesterday.
Which one? Who?
New Orleans Bo.
No, he was over in Shaw yesterday.
Well, he lives there.
He lives there since when?
He's been there. He does a set on Sundays.
From New Orleans.
So we've been in talks about having him come over and do a show for me. So I took a group of people over that are thinking about doing the show with me and let them see him in action. And he cut up as usual.
Oh, come on.
He cut up as usual.
Whoever didn't know,
and he
now
could
you
not
know.
stop saying WNOV. And then the lady that came on behind him, I'm like, I need her too.
Oh, really?
She WNOV, Debo. Hey, man, they know how to sell.
What spot was they performing at?
9942. I don't even know the name of it. It evades me. Kind of a quaint place. It just happened to be a 70s party at the same time that this was going on.
Okay.
So the afros and the whole the gear was going, man.
They know they do it in Chicago.
It was nice. And I couldn't believe how many people were out on a Sunday.
Man, please, in Chicago?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That struck me. I'm like, Sunday party, people don't really do that.
Yeah, they do.
I guess they do in the shop.
Yes, they do. And I almost said something slick. Yeah, they do. They do.
What was the slick? Never mind.
Day parties are super popular.
But
I mean, because a lot of these people, particularly the ones that's like retired, or their kids are older. So, the only person I got to get up in the morning and get ready for work is me.
Right.
I don't have to mess with no kids, no babies. So, no, it's a lot of folks. I know when I'm in Atlanta and somebody will like, look, we're going to drop and go through somewhere on Sunday. I don't even blink no more because I'm like, I understand where I am. It's a very different. DC is like that. Philly is like that. There are a lot of cities that I mean, and I'm gonna tell you, it's interesting because over at Cream City,
Mm-hmm.
off of near Brown Deer Road,
Mm-hmm.
they do like a Sunday brunch. Doc B spins over there and stuff, but it's a day party atmosphere
Mm-hmm.
that it cracks me up that when you go in there for brunch, the place is packed.
Wow.
They have a VIP section that's always occupied.
Mm-hmm.
The music is going, people eating. It's like loud, but it's a good loud. Everybody coming through. I mean, like
So it's
when you
like
go to Cream City, you think you somewhere in another city.
you could think that it's later in the day than it
Definitely.
actually is.
Yeah.
You get
And
caught up
we're in
the
there at
moment.
12 o'clock, 1 o'clock or something. And I'm like looking around because I had never been in Keon.
Mhm.
Was like, come on, let's go get something to eat. I was like, well, where are we going? He was like, going to Cream City. I said, oh, I've been meaning to go through there. I haven't been.
Mhm.
I love the vibe in that place. I
Mhm.
love the vibe in there. And it's like real, contemporary in the way it's hooked up. They got it laid out really nice. The owner, his family members all in
Mhm.
there. I think that was like saying that was his dad. We could see sitting on the other side of the bar watching the game, but doing his thing. But yeah, you go in there and you like all these folks out on Sunday,
Mhm.
and they're like they just got out of church. Everybody went home, put on their fit, their gear. It's casual in there,
Mhm.
but it's a good time. So yeah, it's places that do it.
Certainly enlightening is what I'll say as far as my experience on yesterday.
Let me see. What does it say? Oh, somebody said, "Why can't you be an angry black woman? But it's okay to be an angry white man." Y'all gonna start? Y'all gonna start?
Starting the week out right, huh?
Oh, look, the mayor of Brown Deer is listening,
Uh-huh.
and she sends me a text message. It's in another city, Brown Deer.
Oh,
Cream
so
City.
you are
Cream
out of
City.
town when you go to Cream City. You're actually leaving the city limits.
I can't stand. I can't stand
That wouldn't
Wanda
be
Montgomery.
that wouldn't be Wanda, would it?
That's what I said.
Miss Wanda,
The mayor
the
of
illustrious,
Brown Deer
honorable,
said it is
in
in another city.
We understand, Miss Wanda. Thank you so much,
You know what?
Your Honor.
I can't say it. I can't say it, black people. Anyway, how you doing this morning, Carvey? No, this your weather. You got your hoodie up, got your long pants on. This your weather, huh? You well rested. Debo and I are tired, and you're
Yeah.
well rested. You have been asleep since 4 o'clock p.m. yesterday.
My body won't allow me to sleep like that.
If I do, I wake up with a headache. I can't sleep long
That's
hours.
too much. Too much sleep.
Yeah,
You can be just
and
as
there
tired
is
if you
such a
get too
thing.
much.
I believe that. Like if your body is not used to that,
Mhm.
and when you finally do it, it don't feel good.
Right.
And I look like I don't know how people stay in bed all day and all night. I don't. When you got to get it in. That was one of them days you just had to get your rest. At 19, you had to get your rest.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say a word on that.
Somebody said, did you get a chance to watch the Russia with Lev? The thing that was on MSNBC. I saw some of it. Russia was, I think that's supposed to be with Love. But whatever it is. Lev. I listened to some of it. I shouldn't say I saw it because people were blowing me up like, Michelle, are you watching MSNBC? And then I was like, nope, I'm out, but I'll watch it as soon as I get home, and I record it, so I'll look at it. But I turned to MSNBC in my car and was listening to it, and it was kind of like a tell-all talking about how Trump and Giuliani and his people were trying to interfere with the election by forcing Ukraine to hold a investigation against the Biden family. And when Ukraine wouldn't do it, Trump had, made sure that they got threatened and told they weren't going to get military aid. And then sure enough, you see this play out in the news. So when I got a minute, which good luck right now finding those minutes, I'm gonna go back and watch the whole thing so I can talk about it this week. But it was a hot mess from what I was listening to. Not surprised, but it was a hot mess. And let me just say this, because I know I had shared with some people that I was going to be going down to Atlanta. This is the Grits with Grandparents couple of days for my grandson. And so my son called me early yesterday morning. He was like, "Ma," and he called that too early. I'm looking at the phone like something wrong. So I said, "Hey, what's happening?" He said, "Yeah, the whole family's sick." I was like, "I'll holler at y'all at Thanksgiving." He was like, "I mean, yeah, because Atlas not gonna be going to school. We all got a bug." And he said, "I mean, if you still want to come, so I can nurse 3 people, I'll holler at y'all at
Save
Thanksgiving."
that invitation. Now, I'm not knowingly coming into that situation.
Yeah.
Not knowingly.
Yeah, I mean, and I just told him though, like I'm coming off the longest period of being sick that I have been in ever.
Yeah.
I think in my life. I think I was sick for almost 3 weeks.
And you're still not totally healed.
No, no,
You haven't been healed yet.
it's sad. It's sad that you so predictably
healed.
ridiculous. It's sad.
Maybe we can get Mano to lay hands on you, Reverend Mano.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of that,
Mm-hmm.
so y'all, he talking about Jermaine Hightower.
Jermaine
Jermaine Rideout, Lord, Jermaine Hightower.
Made the man a name.
I know, Jermaine Rideout. So I go to Holy Redeemer yesterday. So I was sitting like in the 7th row in that middle section, that on the right, you know, and this brother, we standing up for prayer or something, and I'm looking around the church, and I see this brother from the side, and I'm like, that's Rideout. And then he had on a Gucci sweater and a pair of white pants. And I was
that wasn't Rideout, not no Gucci sweater.
Look, yeah, Gucci sweater and white pants. I said, who is this with some white pants on? And so, but I was like, but I'm looking at the locks. I'm like, that's Rideout. Same build, you know, pretty much. I'm like, that's Rideout. So we keep going through the service. And then at some point, because it was Men's Day at Holy Redeemer yesterday. So I look, and he's in the choir now with the brothers. But the brothers all had on black suits, red ties. And so he, you know, I said, well, he got to be somebody special because they didn't have him join them in the choir. But I'm looking at him and I'm like, he looked like Rideout, but that's not Rideout. But he looked like he could be, like, if it was just a little this or a little that, that definitely could be Jermaine Rideout. And so I ended up texting with Jermaine a little bit later. He and I were supposed to get up with each other yesterday. So I ended up texting him later. We ended up talking, and I was like, was you at Holy Redeemer today? And he was like, no. I said, I saw a dude that just looked just like you at Holy Redeemer. He started laughing. He said, that was my brother. He said, my brother's in town.
Right.
And so, you know, we ended up talking about it. He said it's 4 of them, and they all pretty much look alike.
Brothers, you mean?
Yes.
Because it's a bunch more of them, too.
Oh.
He got a big family.
But it was the crazy, because I'm like, I know this dude got to be related to Rideout, because I kept saying, it's just something a little off, but I know it's not him, but it looked just like him. So yeah, so that was crazy. And yeah, and when I said what he had on, he started laughing. He was like, that was my brother. So to your point, Rideout may not have been rocking the Gucci sweater.
His brother is a lot more flashy than he
is.
is.
Yeah, he had on the fitted Gucci sweater.
Yeah, he's
there's some white pants, and I was like, okay, who is this? All fabulous. So that was funny you said that. All right, y'all. A couple of things. It has been a busy weekend. The work continues today. We are going to be talking a lot election and world politics and all kinds of stuff, both locally and nationally. Let me tell people, number one, that you have the opportunity now to request your absentee ballot. All you have to do is go to the Election Commission site, and you can request your absentee ballot. A couple of things you need to remember when you do request that ballot. You need a friend or family member who is a citizen and at least 18 years of age to watch you complete your ballot. They don't look and see what who you're voting for, but they're in the room with you while you're completing your own ballot. And then you need to certify that envelope, which is so important. So all of the information that's on there, double check it, make sure everything is good, and then make sure you sign the envelope. And remember that your family member or friend must also sign and complete the section on the envelope, including their address. So there are a couple of steps. Got mine. Somebody said I got mine putting it in the mail today. Very good. Excellent, y'all. So again, you can request your absentee ballots so that you can vote. And make sure, take time, make sure that you fill that ballot out correctly. Because I was just talking to Judge Taylor last night because I had gotten a text message, and the text message said, Michelle, it was either text message or inbox on Facebook, but either way, they said, Michelle, what is this? Can you tell me more about, what this is? And I'm like, okay, I don't know where I was at. I was in a meeting or somewhere when it came through, but I ducked off and said, well, let me try and read it and see what they're talking about. So there is this law that, okay, I can't do it that way. Let me do it this way. There is this law that Donald Trump tried to use in the 2020 election to throw out 200,000 ballots in Milwaukee and Dane County. This law dates back to almost the beginning of the forming of the state of Wisconsin. And he and his team, as they were trying to come up with just the 11,000 votes they needed in Georgia, the whatever number of votes they wanted in Milwaukee, they were looking around to figure out how they could either discredit some ballots and get them tossed out, or what they could do to be able to harvest some ballots, steal some ballots to be able to get him a victory and a pathway to the White House. I got to tell y'all, when I first looked at what the person had sent me, I kept staring at it like, I don't know what this is. And I said, well, before I call or text him back, I said, let me call Lena, because I can't believe I don't remember it, because as important as this is, but I said, I'm calling Lena. So Lena and I get on the phone last night, and I'm reading it to Lena, and Lena was like, wait, what? She was like, I don't remember that. I said, I know. It's crazy. Something that could have been potentially used to strip 200,000 votes in the 2020 election in Wisconsin. And neither of us could clearly remember or articulate what this provision in the law is, how it works, and why in the world it could have been used to actually change the election outcome results in the state of Wisconsin in terms of votes. So I got to take a break. But when I come back, I need, I'm okay. I need y'all to pay attention. And in fact, look, I just realized I got a couple of extra minutes. So let me, hang on one second. I'm going to pull this up, because when I tell y'all, hot mess, and we all need to be aware of this. So there was a story that appeared. It's now been on a number of news outlets, a number of written publications, but here is the way I can best describe it. I'm going to create a scenario for y'all. An absentee ballot, which is what I just got done talking about, that now is the time that that now is the time that you can request and complete your absentee ballot, mail them in, drop them off at a drop site. So, scenario: an absentee ballot gets returned with an error. What did I say? Make sure you sign the ballot. Make sure your witness signs the ballot. Make sure they put their address down. Everything is done that you have to do. Follow every single step before you turn it in. But one of these absentee ballots comes in. There is an error on it. And the election worker that's checking the absentee ballots when they come in, they don't catch the mistake when they first take the ballot out of the envelope. They don't catch it. Okay. So that ballot gets counted as a good vote because nobody caught the mistake. All right. So we have a close election. And Donald Trump says, I want a recount. Now, he had talked about a recount here in Wisconsin, but the margin was wide enough that he would have had to pay for his own recount in Wisconsin. They ultimately didn't want to spend that money. But if it was a close enough margin, there can be an automatic recount triggered. And I don't know how that works on the presidential level. I know on state and local elections, there's a threshold. And an automatic recount can be triggered if it's razor thin in the legitimate way we talk about razor thin. So during the recount, when people are going through and they checking ballots and they counting all over, there is someone else that's working and they catch the mistake that first election worker missed before the recount. Okay. They have the ability to do something in Wisconsin that's called a drawdown, which means that because this bad ballot was originally counted as a good ballot and it throws off our numbers in terms of how many actual ballots and voters there were that were good, they can reach into the stack of good ballots and just anonymously take one out to even out the fact that they had missed a bad ballot. And no one knows whose ballot they'll pull. It could be anybody's because it's done anonymously. But so somebody who did the right thing, did everything they were supposed to do, their vote was a good vote. But because somebody else made a mistake, both the voter who was filling out the absentee ballot and the original election worker who was reviewing that ballot, because those two people made mistakes, a person who did everything right could have their ballot thrown out to basically even up the count because we had counted a ballot that was actually a bad ballot. So this goes back to a year after the founding of the state. It's been looked at a couple of times over the last 100 or so years. And we are the only state that really still employs this. There were about 4 states that had it as an option. Some of them have gotten rid of it on their books. And the other 2 states, it's on the books, but we don't use it. But in Wisconsin, there are times when we still may use this system. It doesn't happen on a large scale. It'll usually be 1 ballot here, maybe 8, 10 ballots over here. That can happen in a municipality. But Donald Trump went in to try to get rid of 200,000. And it was more. It was like over 200,000, like 220,000. And I remembered the conversation about them doing some tactical maneuver to try to get rid of all these ballots. But that they said, it went all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says you filed the appeal or whatever you were trying to do to get rid of these ballots. It was done too late. So it wasn't dismissed in terms of you lack standing or you lack merit or it's frivolous. They said the filing was too late and they moved on. Filing was too late and they moved on. But that vote was like a 4-3 vote. So if they had voted 3-4, 4-3 to keep, let his challenge stand, I don't know what that would have set off by way of election outcome, the election outcome in Wisconsin. So the person who sent this to me, when I tell you I was up reading last night, like I'm so sleepy this morning. I was up till 1:30 this morning because I talked to Lena early enough in the evening that I'm still trying to figure out, like, okay, how does this work again? I had to keep rereading it and going through and looking at examples. So somebody said, if a person uses anything other than a black ink pen, would that be considered a bad ballot? All right, let me find out because I honestly don't know because I never absentee ballot. I don't think I've seen it written like that, but I will find out when I get in during the commercial break and I'll come back and I'll let you know. But y'all, this is how serious this is. So one of the things that I did was I passed this to the National NAACP so that they can have a set of eyes on this. Because if it was a tactic employed in 2020 and the only ruling on it was, you filed it too late, that means they know not to file it too late this time. Now, we got a more liberal leaning court, so it could get tossed anyway. But again, this law shouldn't even be on the books anymore. I, as a voter, should not lose my vote because two other people didn't do what they were supposed to. That is archaic and asinine. And one of the things that they even talked about in the articles that I read was that they don't know that the framers of our state constitution actually meant for that to go that way. Like there may have been another intent behind the whole concept of a drawdown. But it's been used. It's been used in recent elections. And again, in 2020, that's how Trump tried to get most of Milwaukee County knocked out and Dane County. I got to take a break. When I tell you when we sleeping, other folks is plotting. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. I'll be right back. requesting and receiving. I just saw one come in the mail at our house yesterday. The absentee ballots for the upcoming November 5th election. And there were a couple of things that we wanted to bring to your attention. Thanks to a very engaged listener who sent me a text message and said, hey, I saw this story. Can you tell me what this is about? Something about this sounds off. And I was telling them, I was telling the audience that I had to go and research it because I didn't remember this. I wasn't familiar with it. Talked to Judge Taylor. We both were going back and forth on it. But it's this thing known as a drawdown in which the election municipality workers in that municipality have the ability to get rid of a good ballot in exchange for a bad ballot that made its way through the system. It's done anonymously. They just reach in, take anybody's ballot that's a good ballot, toss it so that they can keep the number of ballots versus voters. And the information they had going into the recount. And this only happens in the event that there's a recount and somebody has to come back in and look at these ballots and realize that a mistake was made. So just want to make sure that people understand that. And Charlotte, I'm getting ready to answer this question right now. Somebody just said, I received, hang on. Now all of a sudden, like, I'm acting like I gotta go. I received my absentee ballot, and I'm also concerned that the instructions did not list what color pen should be used, whereas in the past, there had been written instructions included. Another concern is that the Joy is still the Postmaster General. Yep. And I wonder what tricks he will still have up his sleeve. So because of the question that was posed by a listener about, should you only use a black pen? I went back and pulled some information. And one of the things that I found, a couple of things that was highlighted that people should understand in filling out their ballot, that's important. So number one, make sure you complete your ballot right away and send it back. All of that waiting to next week and, I still got about 5 days. Complete it and send it back. So that way, number one, you got all the time in the world for it to get there. You can track it on your cell phone or on your computer. If there are some mistakes in your ballot, people still got time to call you back and let you know that you made a mistake and give you an opportunity to redo your ballot so that your vote ends up counting. We have got to turn those ballots in ASAP. That's number one. Do not wait to turn the ballot in. Number two, in terms of the type of pen that you should use to complete your ballot, they say that a black ballpoint is the best way to complete that form. If you use blue, fine, but it's not really recommended. They actually encourage you to use black. Definitely other colored pens like red, green, yellow, they shouldn't be used at all. And neither should permanent markers or highlighters because they bleed through the paper of the ballot. So best practice, use a black pen to complete your ballot. Best practice, use a black pen to complete your ballot. If there's an issue with the machine reading a ballot because the voter used something other than a black pen, 2 poll workers would have to remark, a new ballot, which takes time when the ballots are being processed on election day. So they'd have to go look at your ballot, figure out what you intended to do, recreate that ballot so that your vote can count. Okay. So again, and thank you to Mo who proposed this question. You need to use a black pen just to be safe. A blue if you in a crunch. No other color or types of pens should be used to mark that ballot. Make sure you don't forget to sign your ballot, have somebody, your witness, sign the ballot and put their address on it. And then the last thing, there are people who say, well, child, I got to make sure my ballot get there and they know I completed it and I did it. I'm going to take a picture of my ballot before I send it in. That's illegal. You cannot take a picture. In the state of Wisconsin, our laws ban people from showing others their marked ballots, which means don't take any pictures of that ballot. And even if you're like trying to show a picture to prove that you completed the ballot, the very act of showing someone your ballot is illegal in the state of Wisconsin. Do not, do not take a picture of your ballot. And so this law, which they talk about, predates social media, because there have been some people who wanted to like, oh, I voted today, and they take a picture of their ballot, and they post it on social media. In the state of Wisconsin, you can go to jail for that. Like, that's illegal. And what they said that the reason why this law was instituted was to prevent pay for play or pay for vote schemes where someone gives somebody money to those who show their ballot to prove that they voted for a particular candidate. So those are some issues and things that you need to understand about completing that absentee ballot. When you go to the polling location, do not take a picture of that ballot, because I've seen people do that and actually told me about it. Do not take a picture of that ballot. Somebody said, good morning. Regarding the drawbacks or drawdown ballots, is the thrown out ballot taken from the same county as the bad ballot? For example, yes, it is. If the bad ballot is from Ozaukee County, can they throw out a Milwaukee County ballot? No, it's taken because it's something they got immediate access to. So it's taken from the municipality that the bad ballot was discovered in terms of a recount. No, it's taken. Yep, it's taken from the county in which it originated. Okay. So to help people just fully appreciate the antics and the tricks and why this was important to address and bring up this morning, because if you're also paying attention in other states, this is the thing. We figure out multiple ways to skin a cat. The skinning in this case is to steal votes, peel votes, knock people off the voter rolls, to reduce the amount of people that can legally vote. We're looking for anything we can do to shave points off the scoreboard for our guy, for our candidate. In this case, it's Republicans looking for ways to go after legal voters, to go after people, to either make it so arduous or difficult for them to vote. You know what it is? It's stuffy here. I can't breathe. Yeah, turn the air on for me, please. I'm trying to figure out. I was fine when I came in the studio. I can't breathe. But there are tactics being employed all over the country to figure out by Republicans and Republican controlled elections boards, how can we swing the tide? How can we influence? How can we potentially give a leg up to our candidate, in this case, Donald Trump? So Raphael Warnock, Senator Raphael Warnock out of Georgia, had been doing a lot of speaking over the last several days, all last week, talking about this new law that was created, or rule that was created with the Georgia Election Board, even to the disliking of the Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and other high-profile state Republicans. They did not want the Georgia Election Board to put this rule into place. But the Georgia Election Board is an independent body. They were able to do that no matter what other people said, even other fellow Republicans, because it's a predominantly Republican-controlled election board. And the thing that they did is that they ruled that ballots must be hand counted by local precincts. And people are like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? They ruled 3-2 to require ballots to be hand counted on top of the already occurring machine count. So understand what we're saying here. The rule mandates that a poll manager and 2 poll officers in every ward, in every precinct, they call them precincts, every precinct, each count the number of paper ballots in each ballot box to compare with the total generated by the ballot scanner. A number of election officials and folks came out against these hand counts, raising concerns about human error that could easily result in discrepancies. And the election commission still moved forward with it. So if you got the people who do the work telling you, we already got a machine that, is counting these ballots. When you start adding human beings to come in and hand count these ballots on election day, and you issuing this rule 50 days or so before an election. So in terms of manpower and size, the ability to get this counted quickly, efficiently, without errors, you creating a difficult situation for us as election workers in these municipalities. The Georgia Elections Board, which is Republican controlled, said so. And people were like, do you not remember the year 2000 and the hanging chads and all this mess that we went through? And the election board was like, so? And other Republicans in the state was like, look, this is not our issue in terms of knowing exactly how many ballots we have coming in. A hand count is not necessary. The Republican controlled elections board in Georgia said, so we're doing it anyway. This is going to appease Donald Trump. It's going to appease some voters. So we're doing it anyway. So that's why we got to understand all the different games and tactics that folks are going to play to try to influence the outcome. Now, just for a second, let me go in a different direction and talk about people playing in the elections and, entering into the fray. During the DNC, if you moved around downtown, you might have noticed some signs in a window of a business, Mps Spices, that was taunting and getting at Republicans. Okay. Mps Spices now. They got a spice that's one of Lakeisha's favorite. It's called, I think, 33rd and Galena is the name of that spice, in homage to the company's origins here in Milwaukee. And so they actually have a spice called 33rd and Galena. So Mps Spice's owner is somebody who pays attention to politics. And they had some, good-spirited fun, some jabbing that was done during the RNC. Well, not to be outdone, the owner of Robert Hack Diamonds. A lot of people have used Robert Hack Diamonds when you were getting ready to, propose or do a recommitment ceremony, or you just wanted to splurge and treat yourself. Then nobody got to buy me nothing. I go get my own diamond. I mean, whatever reason, I've actually bought diamonds from Robert Hack. Okay. So ahead of the election, the owner of Robert Hack Diamonds, a guy by the name of Brett Yulberg, he decided to get in on the election drama. So he put an ad in the Journal Sentinel and he posed the question about the January 6th riot. One example, quote, ask yourself before voting, why was the Capitol Police ordered not to tear gas on January 6, 2021? That's one of the questions he throws in. Why was the Capitol Police ordered not to tear gas on January 6, 2021? Now, this ad and, the guy who owns Robert Hack, of course, he doesn't talk about the House Select Committee on the January 6th attack, in which the committee reviewed Interviewed more than 1,000 people, published the 845-page count report on the attack, and Donald Trump got blamed for lying about losing the 2020 election and helping to incite what went on January 6th. Now, Mr. Eulberg, who owns Robert Hack Diamonds, didn't feel the need to bring any of that up. Trump actually got impeached for his role in inciting this whole thing on January 6th. But the thing that's so funny to me is that for the people that tried to minimize now, the J6ers were, we done made this cute little endearing name, the J6ers, like the Little Rock Nine. They were just patriots, upset and trying to make sure that democracy functioned as it was supposed to. But of course we know that somebody was killed during January 6th by a police officer. We know that 2 other people had heart attacks and died. They believe in connection to January 6th. They believe one person actually died of a drug overdose that was connected to January 6th. About 175 police officers were injured during January 6th. 4 officers actually took their own lives after the January 6th attack. We don't talk a lot about that, but that 4 officers committed suicide after being engaged and fighting these people off during the January 6th attack. Because, and I would have loved to be able to ask these officers, why did you commit suicide? Did you commit suicide because you felt like you had failed in your job to protect the Capitol? Did you commit suicide because you thought being an officer wearing the blue uniform, and these folks, for the most part, 99.4% white, I'm just making that number up, but that's probably real reflective of the level of diversity that was at this event, that they would have never, and Republicans would have never fought the police in this way, because you've always been told and saw their yard signs that said back the blue, back the blue. And so you never could imagine that these people would turn on you. I would just love to have talked to those officers to find out what about January 6th was so distressing that you took your own life. So Robert Hack Diamonds is playing in this election. And the owner, he said, quote, "This stuff has been bugging me." But I'm like, so the rest of it don't bug you? That people were talking about, where's Mike Pence? Where's Nancy Pelosi? Looking for a noose. Running around with a noose like they want to hang somebody. And he has indicated, the guy over at Robert Hack Diamonds, that he plans to run additional ads leading up to the November 5th election. All I'm going to be doing is running a series of questions why, Eulberg said. Eulberg believes that those who hurt people or did damage should be punished. The people that went in and hurt anybody, 100% needs to be punished. He said, "I'm not condoning what happened on January 6th wholeheartedly. It's disgusting." But he's posing questions about why. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Somebody said, "I'm just always amazed at the short-term memory of the senators who were running for safety during the insurrection." Insane. It's not even short-term memory. They just straight out lying. Because there are now senators who were involved who said, "I wasn't scared. I was never scared." And people was like, "I got audio of you screaming. You telling the tale. You were scared." So yeah, some of these people, they don't have short-term memory. They're just outright lying about the whole thing. I got to take a break. I'll be right back. Major political parties have long dominated politics in the United States. about the question that was posed to me by someone who sent a text message about the short-term memory of some of these legislators that were in the Capitol, Republican legislators that were in the Capitol um, on January 6th, who now are talking about it like it never happened or it wasn't a big deal or just a few disgruntled people and trying to minimize the severity of what went on. And I said that this is not necessarily about short term memory, it's about people making a concerted effort to lie about what happened so that you can remove blame away from their guy. And um, so speaking of people that, you know, either lie, potentially lie, accused of lying, like a number of you, I'm doing stuff this weekend, and I get an instant news report flashing on my phone. I got alerts on the phone, like many of you, when breaking news or stories happen. You know, if I got my phone near me, I see it. So a story broke this Friday weekend, um, that former MPS school board member Aisha Carr is facing a new set of felony charges for fraud. So as the story went, they said that we already know former MPS school board member Aisha Carr was accused of lying about her address, that she had not properly moved into the district that she represented, um, as she had said she had. Well, now there are two new felony charges that she is facing, saying that she misreported her income in order to receive government food assistance. So, according to allegations in a criminal complaint that were filed on September 19th in Milwaukee County Circuit Court, I'm reading this directly from an article. I think this was taken from the Journal Sentinel or one of the websites, one of them. Carr intentionally omitted, quote, thousands of dollars in income from her application, close quote, for the food assistance program Food Share in order to receive the public funds. As a result of the misrepresented income, she received $2,808 in food share benefits between June and December 2023 that she otherwise would not have been eligible for, the complaint alleges. According to the criminal complaint, an investigation by the Department of Health Services Office of the Inspector General determined Carr had reported income from Milwaukee Public Schools. However, the complaint states Carr had two other potential sources of income from Marquette University and the EDUCE Education Group, not sure how to say that first word, that were not reported when she applied to Food Share. If convicted for each charge, Carr could face up to $10,000 in fines and 3.5 years in prison. She is scheduled to make her initial court appearance on this case on October 18th. So she has an attorney. His name is Dan Adams. I'm just going to say, okay. And in an email on Friday afternoon, when people were reaching out about what was going on with this criminal complaint or with this situation, he and his client had yet to receive a copy of the criminal complaint, according to him. And he wrote in the email, quote, it's sadly consistent with the assistant district attorney's approach that the news media was provided with the complaint before the accused. Carr has pled not guilty to the two felonies related to her role on MPS school board. And in that situation, in which they talked about whether or not she lived in the district, They're talking about they looked at phone data, utility payments, according to the criminal complaint, to figure out what was going on there. That case is scheduled for a hearing on November 21st. So right now, you know, people talk about when it rains, it pours. When folks start looking at you, people start looking at you from every possible angle. I don't know how some of this will shake out for the former school board member. I was saddened to see it in the paper. I do agree with Dan Adams. It's amazing how stuff like this can make it to the media before it actually makes it to the person being accused. I've seen this before in other situations. I know what it means to have people personally attacked by systems and individuals who use the system for vendettas and revenge and, to just create problems for people. I've watched that. Whoever, was over in the Wauwatosa School District trying to create problems for Representative Myers right ahead of her run for the state Senate office. I mean, all of this stuff is done by design. There have been other cases in which stuff makes it to the media before it makes it to the individual being accused. How does that happen? Why does that happen? But even with that being said, it is going to be interesting to figure out what the defense is for underreporting income potentially in this case. Now, I have to preface my comments by saying, and anybody that's ever listened to my show on any consistent basis for over the years, I am somebody who has supported the work of Aisha Carr when it comes to these children and when it comes to working at MPS. She is a person who has advocated and tried to highlight glaring issues in the system. But one of the things I will say, and, understanding that people are innocent until proven guilty, is that frequently a lot of people that step up to do work are flawed. That things happen that shouldn't happen in the course of them trying to serve. Sometimes people understand what it means to be hungry, what it means to, do without, what it means to face challenges and adversities. Those people step up also to figure out how to be a part of the solution. This is not a new situation or a phenomena that there are a lot of people that show up to public service that have things going on in the background that create challenges for them to be able to serve, and things that have not been addressed properly that need to be done differently. The other thing, I will say, and I've talked about, is a lot of these jobs are important jobs that are not properly paid, and people try to figure out ways to do these jobs and still have income that they need to survive as a family unit. I'm not saying any of that is the case for what's going on with Aisha Carr. But I am saying that it is frustrating that you even put yourself in a position that these kind of questions can be raised. It is, I mean, when you realize you are in a whistleblower kind of mode, when you are a fight the power, fight the system kind of person, that you need to make sure your house is in order. And if it's not in order, it can readily be explained because nobody's perfect. Things happen, things go on, but that you can explain it. And in this case, she'll be given an opportunity to explain. But I'm going to tell you another moment I had when the story broke. I immediately thought of Keon. Keon, formerly with the station, Keon Jackson Malone, who passed away. Because when we would talk about those school board meetings, Keon would be there, Johnny on the spot. He'd have his camera out. He'd be um, taking pictures. He'd be capturing everything in real time. He'd be able to come back and talk about it even after he left the radio station in his capacity. In his new role, he was still doing a lot of the same work, documenting the challenges and the issues being faced in the district. And I said, when that story broke, I said, this would have broke his heart, because I know he was a huge supporter of Aisha Carr. Because it's yet another battle, another fight. God forbid if any of it is true. Because that's the other part of this. If any of this is true, that you intentionally deceive the system to be able to obtain $2,800 in food share benefits, I don't even know what to do with that. Because you talking about potentially facing 7 years in jail and $20,000 in fines. I don't know what to do with that. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to give deference to the process and let it play out. But I understand this. It feels like that if a book can be thrown at somebody, it will be thrown at Aisha Carr. It feels like this won't be the same kind of treatment that was afforded Shantia Lewis when she committed fraud in her role as a Milwaukee alderperson. There won't be any heavy name hitters coming to help Aisha. There won't be people advocating for her the way some folks was advocating for Alderwoman Lewis, because she had carried water for so many people. There won't be no, jobs paying decent wages that will immediately come her way. And, there will be no flouncing around like you still a respectable legislator as we're out in Washington, D.C. at legislative events as Alderwoman Shantia Lewis. There will be no, you supposed to be actually doing time in the jail at night, and then for the public only to find out you wasn't doing that for real at all. There will be no favors and no favors shown to Aisha Carr because you wasn't cool with the right people. There will be no favors shown. So if you know you're going to be an attack dog, or you're going to be somebody that's willing to ask the tough questions, do everything you can to give yourself cover, because people will come for you. People will come for you. Frequently, when you find yourself trying to do the right thing, people will come for you, because that means you rocking the boat. You disturbing the status quo. So that also means that you got to figure out how to minimize the ammunition you give people to take you out, which means you can't be stupid. You can't do dumb stuff. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening? Hello?
Good morning, Miss Bryant.
Good morning.
Mr. Paris. Again. Why do I always do that?
Good morning.
I was just calling because I was listening to you speak about Miss Carr, Aisha Carr.
Yes.
And I just was thinking about, because I saw this on the internet. I don't know if it's valid or anything like that, but I saw a receipt from a person that's not a citizen, or they might be undocumented, they're not naturalized. They had a receipt that showed $14,000 in food stamps and $4,000 in cash on one of those food stamp cards. And I was thinking, like, how is it that people who haven't contributed anything to society at all, other than just come here, and we know why they're here, because America destroyed their way of life in their countries. But how is it that people who have like Aisha Carr, how is it that she's facing some charges for $800 worth of food stamps when you can go on the street and hustle that up if you know how to go on the streets and look for people to get $800 worth of food stamps? So as opposed to them giving other people $14,000. That's like a college education at a junior college. You got $14,000 worth of food stamps. Oh, $4,000. That's like a grant for a scholarship or something like that. How you getting all of this money? But here it is, a black woman who was fighting for the rights of black children in our city and in this country is facing some type of criminal charges when all she did was stand up and be fierce in her display of disapproval in the way that our children are being taught in the city. So I'm just wondering if people are gonna go after her, then here's my own personal situation. I applied for some food stamps. I got approved for $23 worth of food stamps, Michelle. Do you understand that? What they talking about? Really?
All right, I got you. So let me take a stab at it. Thank you, bro. I appreciate the call. Number one, we know that there are income guidelines for receiving food share. I know I'm trying to remember if it's like 2,200. It's some number, but it's some guidelines about monthly income and what you're able to receive in order to receive food stamps. That's number one. So the story that, or one of the things that Christopher made me think about, there was a receipt back, and this was back in 2013. There was a receipt that a grocery store receipt with a food stamp balance listed at $12,000. And so, somebody was talking about it. The news media outlet heard about this and they began to look into it to figure out what was going on, if it was a mistake, a typo on the card. How could this person actually have, and this was in Pittsburgh, but to be able to figure out what was going on, how did they have it? And so one of the things that they found out, and I'm just trying to get to the bottom part of the story real quick so I can take it directly from the story. So when they were looking into it, they said there was nobody from theirs is called the Department of Public Welfare that would release specific information about the account with the $12,000 balance. They said that they would be investigating any suspicious activity, but they wouldn't be investigating that. But let me just say this. First of all, we can't make assumptions that the receipt belonged to somebody that potentially was an undocumented immigrant. We can't make the assumption that, let's just say that balance was real, that balance was for somebody who had never worked before and had never contributed to the system. We can't make those assumptions. The fact that you receive food share does not mean that you have never had a job. You've always been broke. You never paid into the system. It does not mean that. There are tons of people who actually go to work every day and are still eligible for food share. And it's some of y'all that's listening to I can't see over there. What does it say? Read it out for me, please, Debo. And this is federal, state. What does that say?
Well, I just pulled up Wisconsin food, state of Wisconsin eligibility. And it looks like, and again, it's a whole eye chart here, but $2,430 is the monthly income limit.
For a family of what?
And then it goes into all of that. It kind of breaks down elderly, this, that, and the other.
Because I know, what's that first column? Because normally they'll say for a family of one, family of two, family of three. So do we have that information showing?
That doesn't really.
Okay, hold on.
And I'm sure it's there.
Okay, so somebody else just sent me a chart. All right, so here we go. Okay. So if you got a family of one, $2,400, basically, and you would get a maximum allotment of $291.
Oh yeah, here it is here.
Yeah, that's what I figured that first column was.
Right.
So a family of 8, you could get potentially $1,751 for a family of 8. Okay. And that's what I was going to say. So people need to understand. Number one, I could actually be a foster home and have children in my foster home and have multiple children that I might be receiving food share for. I don't know how all of this works. During COVID, food share benefits were increased substantially. And So you could have huge balances based on coming out of COVID. There are any number of reasons that could account for a large balance on food share. I don't know what they all are, but I just think we got to be careful when somebody says, how they getting da 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 da. I don't know how many people in them folks' house. I don't know if you're a foster parent and you got 5, 6, 7 kids in your house. I don't know, because poverty in and of itself is not a something that precludes you from being able to serve in that capacity. But I also can't make assumptions about who receives food share. And then people, they buying this and they buying that. Well, when you get your money, you buy what you want. And when you get your food share, you buy what you want. Yes.
So I got a message here from someone we both know and love. Undocumented immigrants are not eligible for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
That's SNAP.
Also known as SNAP. This is because SNAP is only available to certain lawfully present non-citizens.
Okay. And thank you for that piece of it. So I think that that's number one. We gotta talk about what we know, not what we think. And while some of these things are outrageous when we first hear them, we gotta investigate. I have learned about, either jumping to conclusions or taking something at face value. I have made mistakes doing that. So I'm just going to encourage people to be mindful. I don't know if that's 2 or 3 months worth of benefits stacked up on the card that the person has not used fully. I don't know what's going on in people's households. So that's number one. And to that point, if I could just sneak this in real quick before I go to break. Why don't I take it on my way out and I'll just roll through. So I just looked at something, a little controversy that sparked up, because when I said talking about what you know and not what you think. So Janet Jackson. Somebody said, Michelle, it could be a situation where they were denied for months and then they won an appeal and then all these benefits end up being put on your card. Thank you, because I know that to be true too. I've seen the same thing happen with unemployment benefits. They have up to 1 year to use their food benefits. Somebody else, texted. So I'm just saying there could be any number of factors why that balance looks the way that it does. We cannot jump to conclusions and assumptions that people are being given something we are not being afforded, that the system is rigged, that they helping other people and not helping us. We got to be careful about how we talk about those things, because usually there's an explanation. And to that point about being careful about how you talk about things. So there was some recent, little tit-to-tag involving Janet Jackson talking about Kamala Harris. So Janet Jackson, recently said that Kamala Harris, and I'm gonna read what she said, because she was in an interview with The Guardian, online publication. So she was in an interview with them, and she said, quote, this is Janet Jackson talking, she deeply respects Vice President Kamala Harris and her accomplishments. Oh, wait, no, I don't want to read that. Let me not read that. This is what she said. She said, well, you know what they said. She's not black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian, Janet Jackson told The Guardian. When the reporter clarified that Harris is both black and South Asian, Jackson responded, her father's white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. I was told they discovered her father was white. So Janet Jackson said this in an interview. And the interview was put out there. And of course, people lit her up like a damn firecracker or like a Christmas tree, because it's enough information out there for you not to be talking out the side of your neck and repeating ignorant stuff. So you got the platform that you got. Okay. You know, people will pick up on what you say. And you sit your silly behind in an interview and say, I heard that she is not black. I heard that her daddy is white. I heard X, Y, and Z. What's wrong with you? It's too easy to fact check before you say something so wrong and so ignorant. And talking about, I haven't watched the news in a few days. No, Negro, you ain't watched the news in a few months. That's why, see, that part right there. So then an apology comes out. And in the apology that supposedly came from Janet Jackson, it said, and that's what I was going to read first, quote, she deeply respects Vice President Kamala Harris and her accomplishments as a Black and Indian woman. Janet apologizes for any confusion caused and acknowledges the importance of accurate representation in public discourse. This was a statement that was given to BuzzFeed. We appreciate the opportunity to address this and will remain committed to promoting unity. But this is the thing, because I just read it right before I was getting ready to sit down this morning. So Janet Jackson, and let me pull it up first. Hang on, I'm pulling it up because I had it up on my screen and I don't know what I did with it. I read somewhere, oh, here it is, on the Wrap, some websites, and then it's on Newsweek. So it's on all these other publications that she apologized. But on another online publication called The Wrap, Janet Jackson's representatives say she didn't authorize apology for questioning Kamala Harris's race. Representatives for Janet Jackson tell The Wrap that the singer didn't, quote, authorize an apology for comments Jackson made to The Guardian about Kamala Harris, in which she questioned Harris's race and ethnicity, adding that El Mari's, whoever is the person that made the statement, has no connection with Jackson. The dubious apology was first reported by BuzzFeed, citing El Mazzari, who has described himself as her manager and been quoted in media outlets on her behalf previously. The purported apology had noted that the singer had made inaccurate comments based on misinformation. And now her people are coming out and saying that Janet didn't authorize them to make that statement on her behalf. So, but this is my thing. Well, okay, let's just say you didn't. When you gonna release your own statement then? When you gonna stand your behind in front of a camera and say, I didn't know what I was talking about and I was wrong and out of order? When you gonna say that? When you gonna say that, Janet? Because unlike them two kids that your brother was passing off as black children, which in no way look like black children, and when nobody talking about the race or ethnicity of Blanket and Pillow and whatever them damn kids' names is, ain't nobody talking about they race. That Michael Jackson was saying, these is my children. And everybody just said, okay, well, okay, if you say so, bro, we gonna go with that. We gonna ride with that. So why would you do something like this? See, this right here is something else other than legitimately, I'm not sure what she is. Janet Jackson was on some BS right here. Because there was no reason, even if you thought that, there was no reason to interject this in a conversation. Because you were sitting up in the interview saying, that's what I heard. No responsible person at her level of the game would say no mess like that. This is amateur night at the Apollo foolishness. This is not somebody who is a 40-year vet in the arena of politics to get out here and say something so off color, something not based in facts. Janet Jackson was on some BS. Period. Her and Tony Dungy can kick rocks. She was on some BS when she said what she said. Caller, I see you. I'll be right there. But I want to be clear. when I read this, I'm like, no, ma'am. This wasn't no slip of the tongue. Carvey, can you help me bring this caller up? This was no slip of the tongue. This was no mistake. You did that mess on purpose. You tried to create that foolishness on purpose. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing, Michelle? This Tojo.
Hey, Tojo, how you doing this morning?
Okay. Hey, I just was listening to you when you was talking about like the food stamp thing and politics, politicians that but do silly ass, do my language, silly stuff. Hey, but I learned though that a lot of these, especially in Milwaukee, but it's in Chicago everywhere, it be them smart, dumb people.
Yes.
Because they be book smart, but they be street dumb.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They be getting a whole bunch of money, and then they still want that little money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then and people say, oh, but they was doing so good representing the people. The people like that used to be like me on the street, we represent the people the best. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, I ain't got no, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna go personal, but I ain't got whatever she got coming. She got it coming anyway for being stupid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you cannot be representing them kids like you were supposed to be and be that stupid to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because some of that stuff they keep popping up, I'll be like, come on, man, this got to be the dumbest thing. But one day, we had a meeting with the Call to Action group for North Division to make it out of a black curriculum ran school. And they told Miss Carr to get up and talk, asked her to get up and talk because she represents that area in front of the school board, like the biggest people that was there. And it was Celine Elamine and Mac Weddle and them running the meeting. She said the thing ain't gonna work, and y'all should have put me up here if y'all thought I was gonna say something different. She just ate us up, and I was like, "What?" But as soon as they got at her butt, she wanted to run back over there, and she didn't let us know that they was coming at her, but we found out. So, you know what I'm saying? I ain't got no love for that, man. You know what I'm saying? Some people represent people just to be talking and because they getting what they get. And then when they get what they get, they be looking at us like what they call pull the black card. Hey, y'all help me. Man, you was helping yourself. You wasn't sharing the food stamps with me, so I ain't got nothing to do with it. All right, then. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. He said you weren't sharing no food stamps with me. So
I wasn't invited by for one meal. Not one meal.
I can't say it, but hey. When you was on top, I ain't get no phone call. When y'all was eating, I ain't get no invite. So now that they at you, I can't do that for you. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. Good morning.
One thing I can say about your sister, Mps Aisha Carr, it's nothing but a political hit job. And what they do is they find people that are in positions. When they retaliate against their sister for standing up for these students. And you had best believe the same thing is going to happen to those people that was trying to do a recall on those school board members. That's how they work. That's how they retaliate against people that are in opposition to what they're doing. And I just feel sorry for a sister like that.
So wait before you go though. So when they're saying that they looked at the forms and that she reported income from the school board, but from two other sources, what if any of this turns out to be true? Then what?
Okay, I would say even if it turned out to be true, they would have never been looking for that or anything else, because what they do is anytime you're in opposition to people such as people with that school board or anything that has to do with that MTA, they're going to put your name and everything about you under a microscope,
right,
to see if they have friends in other departments across this city, particularly some of the legal ones, to see if they can do anything to silence you. And that's exactly how they operate. Now, if there is something about her that they find that me wrong, but they would never even look for it if she was a person that was submissive to anything that these people do down at that school board or anything that they do across the city. They would overlook it.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, bro. I appreciate the call. I think it's one of the things that I did try to, preface or, reference in my remarks is that without question, if you are somebody that is a whistleblower, you are somebody that pushes back, you're somebody that challenges the status quo, there will be so many things done to come after you. And I mean, I'm talking from personal experience. I've had it happen to me. Beneficiary of Tom Barrett and his campaign trying to create some drama for me. My name was in a Dan Bice article, just like other folks who have appeared there over some nonsense and some foolishness. And Tom Barrett knew it when he did it, but and his team did it. But hey, they trying to come for me because you don't like
all's fair and
well, that's the thing though. I don't believe that. People say all's fair in love and war. That's why people raising hell about 41,000 people, Palestinians being dead right now, because all is not fair in love and war. That's just a lie that people, or the little statement people put out there to cover up their dirtiness and they BS and they triflingness. So then people come out, oh no, all's fair in love and war. No, it's not. That's why in actual war, we have rules of engagement. That's why in dealing in, I say on this radio station all the time, in dealing in your personal relationships, you got people you love. You can't say anything to everybody that you love and think that you say something so vile, so mean, so visceral, so disgusting that you're going to survive that. You not. Even if they let your behind still stay up under them and y'all still stay together, I didn't never forget what you said to me. And there will be a day when I remind you of what you said to me. Or there will be a day when I could do something for you and I don't do it because of what you said to me. There are rules of engagement. All is not fair in love and war. That's nonsense. Whoever made it up was on some stupid, self-protecting, trying to make yourself not feel bad about being trifling as you tried to break somebody, kill somebody, crucify somebody to get even in love or in war. That is why you got that mural going up on the side of that building to raise concerns about the 41,000 lost Palestinian lives that may most likely have been overwhelmingly innocent people. We got rules of engagement. So with that, and to the rules of engagement real quick on, I'll wrap on the Janet Jackson piece, but Janet Jackson is out of order. She trifling and she out of order for what she did. Because
what Janet did.
Well, I was just telling people that during an interview with The Guardian, they asked her about what does she think about Kamala Harris being the first Black woman to, possibly win the presidency. And Janet Jackson offered up that she heard that Kamala Harris was not Black, that she had a white daddy. And she kept saying in the interview, I heard. So somebody put out an apology that they're saying now was not a, that it was not her apology. And so, she's come out and said that was put out without my approval. Okay. Well, what you got to say? Where your personal approval at? Because I'm not hearing it. Where's your approval? People trifling, man. And irresponsible. That's why I said it was done intentionally. Because Janet Jackson know better. But see, she used to mess with silly Jermaine Dupri, who was on Facebook and on Instagram questioning Kamala Harris and what's her real plan, and sounding like he was a Republican, and he got skewered on IG, lit up with them damn baby socks with them little lace, with them loafers looking all crazy like he had just got out of an asylum. So that used to be her man. So maybe there's still some influence, or this is why we rode together, because we both be on nonsense. But you just gotta wonder, I know you know better. And I know was saying that was gonna spark. So Miss Pleasure Principle, get ready to learn some principles of her own. You can't do and say reckless stuff like this and people don't check you for it. So let me say this. In terms of checking and in terms of accountability, I don't know how many of you saw a story about the fact that Reverend Al Sharpton, who has syndicated talk show here at NOV, his father, 93 years old, recently passed away. Okay. And I have heard Reverend Sharpton talk about his home situation many times. He talked about the fact that his father walked out on the family when I think he was 10 years old. He was married to Sharpton's mother. You know, they were an actual family unit. And his dad walked out in 1963. Sharpton was 10 years old. And Sharpton talked about how they had led a relatively middle class upbringing. That, yeah, some of y'all beating me to the punch on this story because some of this I had never paid attention to and did not know. But people be so slimy, man. Oh my God. But so Sharpton talked about the fact that when his parents were married, they lived in a suburban, basically, situation because his father had a number of real estate holdings. The family financially was doing well, and everything was, everything was chill. But Al Sharpton's mother had a child that she did not have with Sharpton's father. So I think she might have had this child before her and Sharpton's daddy got together. And this child is the older sister of Al Sharpton. And at some point, Al Sharpton's father starts messing with Al Sharpton's sister, who is not his child. That's his stepchild. But that's who he started messing with. And at some point, he leaves Al Sharpton's mother and he marries Al Sharpton's sister, who was his former stepdaughter. So, yeah, so I went back and looked. So Al Sharpton's sister, Tina, that's her name, was Al Sharpton's mother's daughter from a previous marriage. Okay. So Al Sharpton talked about, it was a lot of shame involved in this whole thing. Your father is married to your sister. And so Al Sharpton said that there were other children in the house and that his dad ultimately comes back and takes his other sister that was still with Al and his mom and takes her. And so Al says by the time his dad is done, the only child that he has with Al's mother is Al that's still living with the mother. So Al, being a young kid, is even resentful of the fact that you done came and took these other children and left me, maybe not even fully appreciating what in the world is going on in a family dynamic when his daddy first started exiting the marriage. Back in 2013, he sat down with Oprah Winfrey to talk about all of this. And over the last several years, there has been a reconciliation between Al Sharpton and his father. His dad had been making public appearances with them, had been coming to different events. They talked about social media posts where Al Sharpton had said happy birthday or happy Father's Day to my biological father, even though the road has been rocky. Al Sharpton said basically that when you wake up mad, nothing's even happened yet and you're just mad. At some point, you got to stop and say, what am I so angry about? And that he ultimately had to figure out how to deal with his frustration and anger over what his father had done. Because he talks about when his father left, it threw the family into a cycle of poverty for him and his mother, at least, because they had to move to the projects. And then Al Sharpton was like, by the time we moved to the projects, I've already 10, 11. I've already gotten my ideas. I've already acquired a certain style. I'm a church kid. Then we get broke and we got to go on public assistance and we move to the projects and all these ruffians over here. I don't know nothing about how these people living. And so I charged it like basically y'all done threw me into the wolves. And he blamed his father for the way he came up hustling and struggling out here. And he says, and at the same time, I'm already preaching in the church. And here my own daddy is messing with, I married my sister. Like the whole thing. Okay, my phone is going crazy. The whole thing was crazy. But also that moment when you say, how do I get to a moment where I can forgive this? Because see, that was rich for me. Like, how you get to that moment when you say, you know what? That's enough. I done hated for 50 years. I need to move on. Whether I understand what happened, I ever get an explanation for what happened, because he said, I'm waking up mad every day at something that I didn't create, I can't control, but I'm waking up mad. And so if you wake up mad, how does that impact the way you engage all day, every day with everybody? How you live your life when you're in a constant state of pissed off and angry? And so at some point, many of us have had situations happen in our life, and we finally had that light bulb moment where they say, you know what, I gotta let it go. I gotta let it go. The people I'm upset with don't know I'm upset with them, or they don't care. They fine. They get up. It's a beautiful day. They ready to kick it. You get up, you tight, you angry, and it shows up whether you believe it or not. It shows up in the way you interact with people. I just thought that article about his dad and how they were able to find some kind of peace before his father died is something that people ought to think about. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
I don't know if you remember either during the last presidential election or the last one that President Barack Obama had. Al Sharpton had a commercial on WNOV talking about humble pie.
Yes.
He had to get over his dad leaving with his sister. And unless you go through that, you don't know how it is, but he probably felt abandoned from his father and his sister because they were very close to him, I'm sure.
Right.
So he felt abandonment from both of them. So I'm wondering, if he forgave his dad or, was back on good terms, if he was back on good terms with his sister as well.
Well, and he was definitely back on good terms with his dad, as good as it could be. Because, like I said, his dad was making public appearances with them. There are some very endearing photos of the two of them together later in life. So he had come to peace with it, like I said, to the extent that you can. I don't know. They don't mention much about his sister, but I'm assuming if you came to peace with your dad, you had to come to peace with your sister. But I'll look and see if I can find anything on that. All right. Thank you so much. Y'all. I just thought it was an important moment because, there are people, I got people that don't speak to me right now because they don't like what I say on the radio. Right now. Stay hot with me. See me, walk past me, won't say nothing. And, in all fairness, I got people that, I ain't hot with them. I don't care about them, but I might not speak necessarily. And you later try to figure out at the end of the day, was it all worth it? And how does that level of hate that people have for people, frustration, how does that work? Now I will tell you, everybody got to move in their own time. You can't force nobody to reconciliation. You can't push them there. You can't browbeat them there. You can't guilt them there. They got to get there on their own. I'm just saying for people that if you have any of these crazy situations in your life, that hopefully you able to get to the point where you let that stuff go so that it does not eat you up for the rest of your life. Because when I say, oh my God, it just don't get no more. Well, it do get more trifling. It can get way more trifling. So we gotta learn to forgive. We gotta learn to be patient with people. We gotta learn that people are gonna make mistakes, and we gotta learn how to deal with it when it hurts us. And that goes back to Aisha and people who have watched this sister and supported this sister, and you read these stories. You gotta learn. We all gotta learn how to deal with disappointment from people that we hold in high esteem. With that, I'm gonna wrap the show for today. I didn't get a chance to mention it, but if you are down in Racine, and I know I got a ton of people that listen in Racine, I just want to let people know that Reverend Jackson and his sons and the Rainbow Push Coalition is going to be down in Racine today at 4 p.m. The doors are going to open at 3 p.m. at Christ Chapel Church, 815 Park Avenue, down in Racine. So Donald Trump is also scheduled to be down in Racine on October 1st. It's heating up. All right, family. Debo, appreciate you, bro. Harvey, appreciate you. I'm going to go somewhere that I can breathe. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.
In here, girl, we gotta find us a better solution.